Hi guys, it's Emily. Welcome back to my channel. I am going to do a tutorial today for my inside out spine. I had done one previously, but I wasn't actually working with a real cover at the time. I just did a quick little mock-up with some cardstock and things like that. So I know a couple people had requested that the next time I'm actually making a book that way, that I come back and do another tutorial so you can actually see the entire process, if that makes sense. So if you watched that tutorial before and it made sense to you, then you don't really, I guess, need to watch this one, but you are more than welcome to. I would love if you would stick around and watch. But if it was a little confusing to you before, I hope that this one helps and that you can kind of better see what I am doing. So I am making a glue book. I'm actually making 3 glue books right now, but one of the covers is going to be this vintage little golden book that I have called The Ginghams. It's super cute. And I just already cut apart the front and back covers from the spine. And it's all ready to be filled up once I get the cover done. So once that is finished, I will actually probably, when all 3 are finished, I'll do a flip through of all of them. And basically what we have here, these are 8 inches tall. It doesn't matter the width. I think they're like 6 1/8 or something, but we're not even concerned about that right now. We're just going to worry about the height. So they are 8 inches tall, and I have already cut. Let me move that aside for a second. I have already cut the part that will be the outer spine. So this will be the part, we'll cover it in this fabric, and it will be the part that you see from the back, from the outside of the book. Okay, and I cut this to, so keep in mind we have the 8-inch book height, and I cut this to right in between, I don't know if you can see that. It is right in between the 7 3/4 and 7 7/8 mark. Normally I would have done it probably at the 7 3/4 mark, but I didn't think I needed quite that much clearance this time. Basically, I am leaving clearance for the fabric to, go around the top and the bottom. So I just want to make sure that this doesn't end up being taller than my book, if that makes sense. So it is, you can take 1/8 off, you can take, 1/4, however much you think your fabric thickness is going to add to the thickness or the length of your outer spine. It's kind of it's a little bit of a guessing game, but it is what it is. So, and then I cut it to, I want my actual spine to be about 3 inches on the inside. So I cut this to 3 1/4. I believe, yep, it's just right about 3 1/4. So that after this is all covered, my inside spine, which will be the part that I sew my signatures to, is a tad smaller all the way around. If you can see that. It's just a tad smaller all the way around to give me kind of some wiggle room for when I'm gluing that down, because I tend to miss the mark when I'm, sometimes I just need some space in case I make a mistake. So it's approximately 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So it is 3 inches across, and this one is 3 1/4. And then it is 7 5/8 in length to compensate. This one was 7 and a little more than 3/4. So we've got those cut. Like I said, I actually doubled up 2 pieces of chipboard for my outer spine. If you can see that, I already glued that together. So I just wanted it a little sturdier. And then my inner spine is just one thickness. And I'm going to cover that with this yellow cardstock. And I had said previously, you also need a piece I'm sorry, I hope this is not confusing, everybody. I hope as we go along it will make sense, but you can always ask me questions in the comments, please. So we're gonna cover this with the fabric, and then we have a piece for the inside, and I used the same yellow cardstock that will fit across here, and then that's going to hold everything together. So that'll be the piece that holds everything together. So it is the same height as my book, which is 8 inches, and I made it, I think 6.5. Yep, 6.5 across. So that gives me the width of my outer spine, which was 3 1/4, and then it's about 1.5 inches after you leave a gap. It's about 1.5 inches overhang that'll get glued to the actual front and back cover. I hope that makes sense. And now that I'm looking at this, it looks like I might have cut this a little tall. I think I might shave a sliver off of that. So I'm going to do that real quick, and I will be, okay. I think that'll be better. Now I'm wondering if it's too short. It looked too long, and now it looks a tad short, but I think it's going to be okay. I don't think it's going to matter too much, just as long, you know, the most important thing is that we have enough this way to hold everything together. So I'm not going to worry about that. So we will get to that in a second because we will score this ahead of time. And remember, if you watched the other tutorial, you do want something that is pretty on both sides, either double-sided, you know, decorative cardstock, or fabric, or, you know, a solid color like this, because you're going to see both sides of it. You'll see the inside parts on the front and back cover, and then there will be a little gap between the spine and the covers where you will see this through. So let's put that aside because we're not going to do that yet. What we're going to do first is, yeah, that's what we're going to do first. We are going to cover, oh, there it is. We are going to cover up the raw edge that you get when you cut these apart. We're going to cover that up with some lace so that it doesn't look so jagged and so unattractive. So I just have some pieces of vintage lace, and I'm going to use, this is Cosmic Shimmer glue. I don't like using Fabri-Tac on, excuse me, I will apologize. I am sniffly and kind of congested today because it's the middle of May, and for some crazy reason, it was barely 50 degrees this morning when I got up. So my body is not coping with that at all. So I apologize ahead of time. I'm really sorry. I'm going to try to keep that to a minimum. But that is the reason. So I blame Mother Nature. Anyway, I'm not going to use Fabri-Tac to glue this down because I really don't like the shininess that you get from the Fabri-Tac showing through, and it just, you know, Fabri-Tac gets everywhere. So I'm going to use the Cosmic Shimmer, and basically I'm just going to start on the front, and I'm going to put a line of glue, maybe, come on, that was probably really loud, I'm sorry. I'm just going to put a line of glue along the edge here, make sure I get enough, because we want that to, I mean, it's not structurally holding anything down, but you know, we still want it to look nice and stay there. And this won't really cover anything up on the front, which if you didn't watch my other tutorial, that is the reason I do the spine this way. I don't want to cover up the pretty image on the front of this book. So that's why I came up with this way of making a spine. Yeah, so that way you keep your pretty book, but you're also securing it very well. So that is the idea behind it. So we'll let that one dry, and we'll do this one. Make sure I put it on the correct side. I think this book is from 1979. I don't know if I said that. This is the second go at this. So if I said that already, I apologize, but I'm saying it again. It was the second printing of this book. I think the original copyright was 1976, and this one was 1979, I believe. Just if you're interested. I just thought it was super cute, and when I do the flip through, I'll show you, but I was able to put all of the pages in from the book, which made me happy. I like to do that as much as possible. All right, so we'll let that one dry. Let's see if this one is dry enough to continue. We're gonna snip off the extra that I have here. Let's see if I can get this at an angle where I can see. Nope, not there. It's also incredibly dark and dingy outside, so I hope the lighting is okay. Yeah, I have like every light on in my craft room, trying to compensate for the fact that it looks like nighttime outside and it's like 11 o'clock in the morning, so not cool. I do not like this. All right, and then, oops, more garbage. We will put a line of glue right along that raw edge to help hold this down. And because I'm not sure how wide this is gonna be on the inside. And this is not even gonna show on the inside because our yellow cardstock that we're using to hold everything together will actually be over top of this, but I don't want it coming up, you know, before we get to that point. So I'm just gonna run some glue along there and fold it over. And now we've covered up that edge and you can't really even tell that it was yucky. All right, like I said, that will not even show in there, so I'm not too worried about it. Just want to hold it down while we're working. So let's get our other one here, set that aside. All right, let's trim off the excess here. And more glue. I hope everyone is having a great Monday. I hope all the excuse me, moms and grandmas and stepmoms and aunts and all you wonderful ladies had a terrific Mother's Day and maybe got to visit with your moms. My mom is currently not in town. She is driving home today from my sister's house in Atlanta. My niece made her first communion this weekend, so they took a trip down there, and so I didn't get to see my mommy on Mother's Day, but I did talk to her, and we're gonna get together next weekend, so that will be fun. I had a good Mother's Day. I got to see my youngest son because he still lives at home, but my oldest son called me from Florida, so that was nice. It was my first Mother's Day without both of my kids here, so that was, you know, it was a little weird, but it is what it is, and, you know, they grow up, right? They grow up. It's sad, but it is what it is. So it was nice. And I just had kind of a relaxing day, didn't do a whole lot, just kind of hung out, did a little bit of crafting. All right, so there's that, and then that will dry and that will be good. Let's see, I'm trying to find a place to set it so it's kind of up off the table over here. I'm certain that I'm not going to use Fabri-Tac on the outside of this spine because I don't want it to seep through this fabric. And sometimes that happens and I don't want it to. And with the weather the way it is, who knows if my Fabri-Tac is going to behave today. That is always a quandary. So we will just get some tape on here. Now this is my outer spine. So this is the part that will show on the outside of the book. And because the book is called The Ginghams, I chose kind of a large gingham pattern. At least that's what I'm calling it, because it kind of matched the yellow gingham on the front cover. I thought anyway. I kind of liked how it looked. So that's what I'm going with. But I'm just going to get this at least held down because most of the holding power will go on the back of it. And I might use some glue back there. We'll see. All right, let's do a couple down the middle. I want to miter my corners. And let's see what I'm going to do. I was watching somebody do this and now I can't remember how they did it. I think it was Andrea at Artie Mays. Instead of going straight across, she did like a, I can't remember how she did it. Okay, well, because I can't remember, I'm just going to do what I usually do, which is straight across, leaving about a 1/16 to an 1/8 there. I'll have to go back and rewatch that video. I think she was, which video was that? I think it was, oh, it was her curved spine with kitchen roll, I believe. And we don't need quite this much here, so I'm going to trim this down a bit. All right, there's that. Oops. Okay, and I'm going to use both. I'm going to use the double-sided tape right up against the edge here because that will help hold it, you know, right on the edge. But I don't want the glue squishing out there. So hold that down and trim that off. And then I'll put my Fabri-Tac up, you know, on the rest of it just to kind of give it a little more hold because it won't matter because it won't show. Whoops. Well, that didn't work properly. Oops. See if we can get another little piece there without too much trouble. Come on. There we go. So I said I was making 3 glue books, and I am. This one is, you know, since it's a little golden book, it's smaller than I normally make them. But I really wanted to, well, first of all, I really wanted to finally use one of the golden books that I have because I have quite a few of them and I have yet to use them. And I also wanted to try out this inside out spine on a golden book because someone had commented about that on my first tutorial. So I thought, well, we'll kill two birds with one stone and go ahead and use one for a glue book. Plus, not everyone wants a ginormous glue book, but the other two are fairly large. And I'll do a flip through of all three of them. One of them is potentially claimed. I had a customer contact me and ask if I would make a glue book for her. And I told her I would make a bunch and she could pick the first one. And then the other two I will list in my Etsy shop once she chooses which one she wants. Okay, come on. So that'll be sometime this week, I'm assuming. I'll have these done. They're all of the signatures are ready. I just need to make the covers and sew them together. Fine. So we just pull it nice and tight. Not sure why I pulled off all of the backing of the double-sided tape. That's probably not the way you should do that. I got busy talking and was not paying attention to what I was doing, so I apologize. I would just normally not pull those off all at once, but it'll be okay. All right, so we just want to make sure that that's nice and secure. I think that's good. And we'll go to the next side. Now, one thing I did see Andrea do that I do remember is she added some Fabri-Tac to the corners to keep them from fraying, and I will do that once we're done actually attaching the fabric, because that is a fantastic idea, and I had never thought of it. So thank you, Andrea. All right, so there we go. That is our outer spine. And I am going to add, getting glue everywhere, so a little bit, you know what? I'm not going to use Fabri-Tac for that though, because it's just going to be shiny. I'm going to use just some Cosmic Shimmer that dries clear, and you'll never even know that it was there. Oh, I like that. Why did I never think of that? Good thing we have so many people that do so many amazingly talented things, right? And we can learn from each other. I love this community. Okay, there we go. So that is our outer cover. It is all ready to go, and I am going to sit it over here on top of a can so it can dry properly. And while that is drying, we will do our inner spine. Okay, for this I'm going to use Fabri-Tac on this part in the middle because I don't want to sew through double-sided tape because it never dries, so it makes my needle all sticky. So I'm going to attach this first to the middle And before I add the double-sided tape, I am going to get my pointier bone folder. That's a technical term. And I'm just going to run it along, right along the edge of that chipboard to kind of give me a head start on folding up these edges. And it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't even leave a mark, but I find that it does help. You know what? I think I have even a pointier one. Nope, that one's not pointier. All right, that'll be fine. So I'm just gonna kind of give this a bit of a fold here, so it's a little more ready when I have the score tape on there. All right, there we go. Okay, and then I'm just gonna use this and all right, so just pull that tight, glue that down. Look what I did again. Look what I did again. I pulled all the backing off. I do not normally work this way. I normally would do it one at a time so that I'm not getting stuck on all the other sides. I have to say, okay, so I was watching a video last night by Nikki Adigan at Musings by Nikki, and she said the exact same thing. And I commented on her video that I'm pretty sure the camera draws power from my brain when I am recording a video, because I become kind of stupid. And of course, that's the time when all of you are watching. But it was so funny because she said the same thing. She had repeated the same mistake. I mean, you know, it was fine, but multiple times while filming. And I was laughing so hard because it happens every time I make a video. And yeah, so anyway, see, Nikki, you are not the only one. All right, that was simple. And I didn't, you know, it's fine. So we will I just usually run my bone folder along the edges to kind of, you know, just, I don't know why I do it. And I just do it. All right, so we have our inner spine and we have our outer spine, and those corners are gorgeous. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love it. All right, so that will eventually go in there like that. Love it. All right, what we want to do is, and I don't know if you can see, but this is more the right height than it was when I cut it. Whoops, I have this completely. That was going to be bad. All right, so let's try that again. As you can see, this is more the correct height for the book than it was when I originally cut the chipboard. And I know, I see, it's a tad shorter. And like I said, it's a guessing game, but you get the idea. I don't want my spine to be bigger than my book. If it's a tad smaller, that's okay with me. But I don't want it to be bigger. So that's why I always err on the side of smaller, if that makes sense. Okay, so we have this, and then this is our piece that is going to hold everything together. And I want to score this ahead of time so that it closes up easier when we're done. So I'm trying to think the best way to explain that. Let me move my covers aside. Basically, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get my scoreboard here, make sure it's in frame. Now, again, I want it to fold this way, so we'll sit it this way. I don't know if you know this. I'll share it because I didn't know it, but a friend of mine taught me, and I've seen multiple people that do paper crafts do it this way too. You want to score so that, I'm trying to word this properly for you. You want to score so that whichever way you're folding is the bumpy part of the score line. Does that make sense? So like I want this to eventually fold this way. So I'm going to put that side down so that that bumpy part that comes from the ridge is on the, yeah, I'm not explaining that very well. I think a lot of people think that you want to score it and then fold it the same side that you score. And it actually doesn't fold straight that way. It doesn't. If you can experiment and you won't get as straight a fold. It's really kind of goofy, and it went against the way that I thought it should work. But anyway, I did a really, really bad job of explaining that. I'm sorry. I wanted to share something with you, but it didn't go well. Yeah, that's okay. Hopefully that helped somebody. I feel like it probably just confused everyone. Okay, so what I did was I laid out my paper and I found the center point. So we have 1, 2, 3 and 1/4 inches on each side of my center line, because I just want to make sure that I've got it fairly centered. And then I'm going to put my outer spine on this piece of paper, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to find that center point, which looks to be about 1 5/8. Is that right? No, I'm sorry. Let's see, that is, yeah, 1 5/8 inches. Yeah, approximately. So I'm going to hold that there, and then I'm going to find my scoring tool, and I'm going to go to the next available line. Can you see that? So it kind of lands right in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next available line and score. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I'm technically scoring at 1 3/4 from the center. Okay, and then we'll do this one. That was a very awkward, whoops, I'm gonna stop before I mess it up. Okay, does that make sense? So you want to leave yourself some space for movement. I think that probably makes sense. So let me get rid of my scoreboard because we don't need that anymore. So basically you have a little bit of a gap. Let me see if I can show that kind of clearly. You have a little bit of a gap between, you know what? Let me fold it. Oh, here's what I was trying to explain and did horribly. So you have your grooved edge here from scoring, and then you have your bumpy edge from scoring. You want to fold towards the bumpy side, is what I was trying to explain. It gives you a nice crisp fold. If you try to fold the other way, it won't be straight. And I know it's weird, but it is what it is. So let's get a nice crease here. All right, now, so let me see if I can kind of show this a little better now. So you have a little bit of a gap between your fold and your outer spine. Do you see that? So nothing is going to get in the way of the book opening and closing, because our cover is going to go here. Okay, does that make sense? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm trying to determine which I want to attach first. That will make this the easiest to understand. So basically you're just going to attach your outer spine in the center of that space, and then you're going to attach your front and back covers to the flaps. Okay? So I think I'm going to just lay it out here and just go for it. And for this, I'm going to use Fabri-Tac. Well, this stuff that is not Fabri-Tac, but can be found on Amazon if you're interested. And for this, you want to make sure that you have plenty of glue, because we are now dealing with the structure of the book. Okay, so just make sure that is good and covered, and make sure I don't have too many huge globs because I don't want it to leak out the sides, but it might, and that's okay. All right, and then, like I said, let me move this out of the way so I don't get glue on it. You just want to center it and line it up with your top and bottom. Sorry, hopefully my head is not getting in this. And just make sure you're fairly centered. Yep, and then push that down. And that is that. That is your outer spine attached. I love how that looks. I love that fabric. Oh, it's so pretty. All right, I got a little bit of seepage up here, but that's okay. It's just a tad right there, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to worry about it. All right. So probably want to let that dry before messing around too much with your front and back covers. All right, and as you can see, we have not interfered with that hinge at all. So that is the goal. The goal is to leave that hinge accessible. All right, and that's probably dry enough because all I'm gonna do is glue these down. And the same thing, you wanna line it up so that that hinge is still, you know, you don't wanna butt it right up against it. I mean, you can, but I like to give it just a hair so that it, you know, moves freely. And I think this time, because my paper is just a tad short, I'm gonna do it on the inside here. I'm gonna use my finger and make sure that I've got that all the way to the edges. Whoops. I think I just got my shirt in it. That's fun. But you want to make sure that that's all the way to the corners and all the way to the edges here so that it holds well. Now, you just want to pay attention to, okay, you want to pay attention that you have it going the right way. And just do your best to line that up top and bottom. And make sure that that can still fold. Well here. All right, now I'm going to turn it this way and just show you how we have not interfered with that hinge. Okay, and just press that down. This is probably going to be a long video. I apologize. That was why I originally just did it, you know, kind of a quick little mock-up. But I do see how, you know, you can't necessarily tell what's happening when you're just watching it like that. This way you're able to see exactly the process I'm going through. So I hope that the length of it doesn't turn anyone away. I will speed up portions. So, okay, so there is what we have so far. And then we want to put this side on the exact same way. So. All right, so now you can see how you will see whatever you choose to put all this together with. You will see it on the inside and the outside. Okay, and there's our inside. Okay, and it just opens and closes very freely. No issues there whatsoever. And then I will let that dry. And while I'm letting it dry, I will work on sewing in my signatures, and then that will get glued right in the middle. And I have given myself plenty of room there to get that sewn in or glued in, so I don't have to worry about, don't have to worry about making any mistakes. It'll fit in there perfectly, and then it'll be finished. So yeah, that's that, guys. I hope this was helpful. Excuse me. I hope that you maybe found that a little easier to understand. Like I said before, if you have any questions, please just leave them in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer them. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot, lets me know what you like. And if you haven't already, I would love if you would subscribe to my channel so that you can hang out with me. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, and I hope you have a fantastic and blessed day. Bye.